Hi everyone, I'm Jane Trotter and welcome to Accelerando Piano. Today's tutorial is all about learning how to play loud in one hand and soft in the other at the same time. In other words, playing with different dynamics in each hand. I'm going to show you 3 different techniques for developing this skill. And it's something that you really want to work on and to perfect because it occurs in pieces all of the time, especially when you want the melody to sing out above the accompaniment figures. And I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to play this little piece called Melody by Schumann. It's from his album For the Young. And I'm going to play the first 4 bars 2 different ways. First way, each hand is going to be the same volume. And the second time through, I'm going to make the melody hand louder and the accompaniment hand softer. And you'll hear the difference. The melody sings out much more clearly when the left hand is quieter. So here's the first version through. Each hand the same volume. Okay, and the second time, I'm going to make my left hand a lot quieter. Let's check out the first technique. And I call this the Staggered Entry technique. And what's going to happen is that you're going to play your louder hand first and your quieter hand second. I'll show you what I mean. Let's start with say a contrary motion scale. And I'm going to have a nice long gap between the notes. So I'll do my right hand louder than my left hand. There's plenty of time, I'm in no hurry. My left hand just quietly comes in after. Let's put the overhead camera on and I'll show you this again. But I'm going to make the gap slightly smaller this time, and this is the trick. So right hand first. I'm going to make the gap even smaller. Until eventually there's no gap at all. Okay, let's apply that to a piece. And I'm going to work on the little Schumann piece that we did before, and I'll just play the first couple of bars with that staggered technique so you can get a feel for what I do. So I'm going to start with the right hand and I'm going to bring that in, and then my left hand comes in after. So you can hear the right hand's much louder, and it's easier to control that way when they're slightly staggered. Now, of course, the rhythm goes out the window, but I'm not worried about that because we're focusing on the different dynamics. Just deal with one thing at a time. You can always play it again with the rhythm focusing on that, but for this purpose, we are just doing the different dynamic levels in each hand. So let's try that again. We'll make the entry of my quieter hand slightly quicker this time. Until eventually they are at the same time. So that's your first trick. Moving on to technique number 2, and I call this my pretend play. What's going to happen is that you're going to play the melody hand for real, but you're going to pretend to play the hand that's got the accompaniment figures. I'll show you what I mean. Let's do it for a contramotion C scale. Scales are really good for this type of stuff. So I'm going to play my right hand for real, that's my louder hand, and my left hand, I'm just going to pretend to play it. So I'm going to move my fingers as if I was playing it, but I'm not pushing the keys all the way down. So let's try that. Okay, now if you try it for the first time, it'll feel really weird and it might not come naturally, but it's well worth persevering with because it is a really good technique. Let's try that again. And you can go a bit slower if it's easier. Just slow it right down. Okay, now we're going to do it again, but I'm going to add my left hand back in and I'm going to make it a little bit louder. So a little bit louder from nothing is still going to be soft and it's going to be quieter than my right hand. And my theory behind the pretend play is that it's easier to make something louder than softer. So if you take the hand right out of the equation and then add it back in, sure, you're making it a little bit louder from nothing, but it's still going to be quieter than your melody hand. So let's do that scale again. And there you go. So let's do it with the little Schumann piece as well. I'm going to pretend to play my left hand and I'm going to play my right hand for real. Now I'll do it again. I'm going to make some of my left hand notes sort of pop out unexpectedly just to show you that that can sometimes happen and is perfectly okay. Don't worry about it. So if I start off like this, go, oh yeah, that's good. And then I go, oops, that one came out. Oh, doesn't matter. Oh, my right hand's soft. Oh, never mind, I'm going to keep going. Oh, that one came in. Doesn't matter. Okay, that's still going to help the process. So then we add the left hand back in for real. And you can hear it's nice and quiet. So that's technique number 2, the pretend play. All right, here comes the third technique. And for this, you're going to play the piece on your legs. And you're thinking, oh, what's she on about? I'm going to play it on my legs? Okay, I will explain. The idea behind this is that you get feedback up the other way from your legs and it gives you really good feedback for the tips of your fingers. So it's a different feeling from the keys. It's quite hard to explain, but the feedback is quite direct, it's quite immediate. It's very, what's the word? Very sensory, very tactile. So my recommendation is that you try it very slowly first, and even with just one finger. So literally, you might just do with your second finger and go, right, I'm going to play my right hand louder than my left hand, as it were. So you'll feel a heavier sort of weight in with your right hand second finger than with your left hand. And you will be able to feel that really directly, thinking, right, that one has a firmer, sort of more solid touch, and my left hand has a lighter touch. So if I then transfer that up to the keys, with that same sort of weighty, spongy feel, you can hear that my right hand's louder than my left hand. Then you might try it with good old contrary motion scale. I'm just going to do a 5-finger pattern. And again, keep it really slow so you can feel what's going on. So here I'm definitely feeling that my right hand fingers are pushing more firmly, they're sort of more weighty into the keys than my left hand. And you can do that a couple of times just to really get the feel of that. And again, transfer that up onto the keys. Let's do that contrary motion. And again, keep it slow. So you're basically mimicking that feel that you had on your legs with the keys. And then, of course, you can do it with your piece. So if I do the first 2 bars of the little shoe arm piece, I'm going to play it on my legs, and I'm really going to feel that difference. I'm just doing it slowly. And I'm really feeling my right hand is much weightier than my left hand. So I'm going to do it really slowly. And again, I'm just trying to mimic that feeling that I had on my legs. And perfectly okay to go slowly. Like that. So try that out. I know it probably sounds a bit out of left field and a bit strange, but I found it really, really works very well. So check out that. So those are our 3 techniques. We had the staggered entry technique, where you had the louder hand coming in first before the quieter hand. You had the pretend play, where you took the quieter hand right out of the picture altogether and then added it back in, making it a little louder from nothing, but it was still going to be quieter than your melody hand. And the third one was play it on your legs, where you had that wonderful feedback up through your fingertips. If you'd like to delve into this a little bit more, there's a part 2 in this series, and in that I'm working with a student and taking him through these different techniques for learning how to play with different dynamics in each hand. And you'll see how he progresses and comes to grips with those challenges. So do work on it. As I said at the start, it's something that comes up all the time in the pieces. And eventually, with a little experience, you'll find that you're doing it instinctively. You won't have to think, you'll just know how to do it. And when that happens, it's great. You feel really good.